All the Wight County School Boards in session. Madam Clerk, please take a roll.
Mr. Cunningham, Mr. Colick,
Present.
Mrs. Perkins,
Here.
Mr. Wooster,
Here.
and Mr. Marsh.
Here.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve for approval of the agenda or amendments for closed session.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? No. Hearing none, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Colick,
Yes.
Mrs. Perkins,
Yes.
Mr. Wooster,
Yes.
and Mr. Marsh.
Yes, motion passes.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the agenda for open session as presented.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Colick,
Yes.
Mrs. Perkins,
Yes.
Mr. Wooster,
Yes.
and Mr. Marsh.
Yes, motion passes.
Mr. Chair, I move to go into closed session to review the personnel report and addendum posted on board docs under Personnel tab number 18.1 as authorized by Virginia Code 2.2-3711A1 for purposes of discussion and consideration of prospective candidates of Isle of Wight Public Schools for employment, contract changes, transfers, salary adjustments, supplemental contracts, deletions, supplemental pay, and resignations of Isle of Wight County Public Schools.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Colick,
Yes.
Mrs. Perkins,
Yes.
Mr. Wooster,
Yes.
and Mr. Marsh.
Yes, motion passes. And Madam Clerk, do we have anyone signed up to speak?
No, sir.
Okay. All right, then we'll go into closed session.
WHRO stands out as the nation's sole public media station owned by a collaboration of 21 school divisions. This distinctive ownership model places education at the heart of our mission, influencing every aspect of our work. Our team of educators is committed to offering students, teachers, educational activities to spark their
Oh, Wight County School Board's in session.
Mr. Chair, I move that the closed meeting was conducted in conformity with the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act as required by Section 2.2-3712D of the Code of Virginia, and certify that only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements were discussed, and only such public business matters as were identified in the motion by which the closed meeting was convened were heard, discussed, or considered.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Colick?
Yes.
Mrs. Perkins?
Yes.
Mr. Wooster?
Yes.
And Mr. Marsh?
Yes, motion passes. Over to you, sir.
Would everyone please stand for a moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance?
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Well, good evening. It's Thursday, February 13th, 2025. We are in Westside Elementary School for our regular school board meeting. And we'll kick it off and get going here, Mrs. Briggs, with your Isle of Wight Achievers.
Good evening. The vision for Isle of Wight County Schools is to create a learning environment that will enable every child to discover his or her unique gifts and talents. The Isle of Wight Achievers section of our board meeting gives us an opportunity to recognize and celebrate our students and staff for their unique talents and gifts. And we are light on achievers. We are jumping right into Seniors of the Month, and you probably know this first person. But our Senior of the Month for February from Windsor High School is Connor Walters. Yay. Glad you come down over here, Connor. Let me tell you a little bit about Connor. Connor stands out as an exceptional student due to his unwavering commitment to leadership, passion for his diverse interests, and ability to overcome challenges. His ability to balance being the Beta Club president, a student liaison to the school board, a captain in the marching band, and a student director in theater highlights his dedication and remarkable time management skills. Connor's diverse achievements, ranging from excelling in leadership roles to earning acting awards for his commitment to VHSL theater competitions, showcase his versatility and determination to succeed. This month, Connor's leadership as Beta Club president and his dedication to improving his school community were evident in his proactive engagement with both students and staff. He consistently seeks feedback from his peers to bring meaningful suggestions to the school board, demonstrating his passion for creating a better environment for everyone. Additionally, Connor's efforts in helping peers with costumes and staying after school to assist with theater, set, and prop preparation reflect his selflessness and dedication to collaborative success. His unique ability to lead by example while maintaining enthusiasm and passion makes him a standout choice for this nomination. His theater teacher, Ms. Beatty Riffle, shared, Connor is a talented and creative individual. His leadership has provided a voice for our student body, and his performances on stage have pulled us in a new direction to a place where we can dream. There is no doubt that Connor is a visible, shining star that will make a positive, memorable difference in our world. Connor plans to study kinesiology and possibly become an athletic trainer. He is hoping to attend either Christopher Newport University or Hampton-Sydney College. Congratulations, Connor. And we'll have you hop over here. And family members, this is a perfect time to come up and get a photo, and you're welcome to even join Connor in the photo. Very good. Congratulations once again, Connor. Our Senior of the Month for February from Smithville High School is Nathaniel Newman. Yep. Nathaniel is an outgoing, kind, and hardworking student who exemplifies citizenship and academic achievement. A dedicated and talented actor. We have something in common tonight. We have actors. Nathaniel has attended the Governor's School for the Arts since 9th grade, where he puts in long hours to master his craft. He recently played a lead role in The Rover at GSA, and the staff speak highly of his dedication, intelligence, and theatrical skills. His personality shines even brighter when he is on stage. Beyond his passion for the arts, Nathaniel is an active leader and community volunteer. He serves as a member of the Superintendent Student Advisory Board, as does Connor, right? Very good. A lot of similarities here. Representing Smithville High School and advocating for his peers. He is also involved in his church and volunteers with the Smithville Christian Outreach Program. Nathaniel's bubbly personality is infectious, and he always has a smile on his face. He never hesitates to help his teachers and classmates, serving as a role model for his peers. He consistently goes above and beyond in everything he does, making a lasting impact both in and out of the classroom. English teacher Ms. Jidlowski shared, Nathaniel is a treasure to have in our building. He brings a positive attitude and strong work ethic to every challenge he faces. Not only does he shine here at SHS, but he works tirelessly at the Governor's School for the Arts. He recently had a starring role in their production of The Rover, where he brought his exuberant energy to the stage. It was an honor to see him in his element outside of the walls of our school. His kindness and humble nature will serve him well in the world, and I cannot wait to see what lies in his future. He is a model person and very deserving of this honor. Nathaniel plans to attend either Christopher Newport University or the University of Virginia and double major in theater and business. Congratulations, Nathaniel. We'll have you go over here. And I know Mom is here and wants to come up and get a photo. There we go. That's your cue. Okay, congratulations. So those are all of our individual recognitions, but we do have another recognition, and I would like to take the time to announce to everyone, if you did not know, February is designated as School Board Appreciation Month in Virginia. As citizen leaders, school board members face complex and demanding challenges, yet few people fully understand the scope and far-reaching implications of board members' responsibilities. Tonight, we would like to recognize the vital contributions of our school board members and focus attention on the crucial role these elected public officials play in the education of our children. Their job is to establish a vision for the education program, design a structure to achieve that vision, ensure schools are accountable to the community, and strongly advocate continuous improvement in student learning. That job entails an endless string of meetings and school functions to attend, lengthy reports, agendas, proposals, and other information to read and study, and a host of difficult decisions to make. The time spent in board meetings represents just a small fraction of the hours school board members spend leading the division. They also work hard at seminars and training sessions to keep informed of the latest trends in educational leadership, are deeply involved in community activities, and spend time in the schools and at extracurricular events. Their love for learning and concern and caring for students, staff, and community drives our board members' desire to lead so students can achieve. In recognition of the dedicated service of school board members throughout Virginia, as I said, February has been designated as School Board Appreciation Month. This is the time to show our recognition and to increase our understanding of how local board members work together to provide a better future for our children. Tonight, we want each of you to know that your hard work is noticed and truly appreciated. Chair, at this time, I would like to introduce and recognize, we have Chair Jason Marsh from District 4. Very good. Vice Chair Mark Wooster from District 2. Brandy Perkins from District 1. John Collick from District 5. And Michael Cunningham from District 3, who's not able to be here tonight. Oh, yep. And we also want to thank our school board liaisons for providing a student voice on the board, from Smithville High School junior Cameron Hicks, and from Windsor High, once again, Connor Walters. So congratulations, and thank all of you for what you do every day of the year for all of Wight County Schools. One more recognition, and for this, I'm going to ask if Mr. Marsh and Mr. Wooster can join me down here on the floor for a minute. Okay. And these are not for them, just in case you're wondering. We dearly love them, but these are not for them. Okay, at this time, would Ms. Jessica Whitlow and Ms. Casey Pulley join us down here as well? And I'm going to ask these gentlemen to do a little presentation to our clerk and deputy clerk. And let me read a bit. Y'all stand next to these ladies. February 10th through 14th is School Board Clerk Appreciation Week. And in honor of this week, we are recognizing our clerk, Jessica Whitlow, and deputy clerk, Casey Pulley. Board clerks are tasked with maintaining accurate records of school board meetings and official acts, but they are more than record keepers for the board. They make sure the board has the materials necessary for their meetings in a timely manner. They serve as a point of contact for parents, employees, and the community on behalf of the school board and superintendent, and they work additional hours attending meetings. We would like to thank Jessica and Casey for their dedication and service to the school board of Isle of Wight County, and we hope you will enjoy this little gift. And we would love to have Ms. Perkins, Mr. Colick, would y'all join us down here? We'd love to get a photo with our clerk and deputy clerk and our board members and school board liaisons. Please come on down and Dr. Kramer, we're going to do a big old family photo down here. Okay? What is that? Oh, yeah. Congratulations, ladies, and thank you once again for all you do. And with that, this concludes Isle of Wight Achievers. To those that were recognized tonight, congratulations once again, and thank you to their family members for coming out to support them.
To be sure, imagine having 5 different people to answer to all the time. I don't know how she does it. She doesn't just keep the board organized and on schedule, but she keeps us out of hot water more often than not. And I'm sure she answers the same question 2, 3, 4, 5 times the same time. And then she gets to deal with the good doctor. So give her. All right. Moving on here. Mr. Seward, you're up, sir. We have our WHRO presentation.
Chairman Marsh, members of the board, Dr. Kramer, thank you for giving me just a few minutes this evening to speak to the board. My name is Elmer Seward. I'm Vice President of Education Services at WHRO. Normally, Bert Schmidt, the President and CEO, would give this presentation, but he's out of town, so tag I'm it. The reason I'm here is Isle of Wight is one of 21 school divisions who own WHRO. And as a result of that, every year we give each of those school divisions a report on the education services that we provide and on, in cases where we have the data, how those services have been used in that school division. You have before you this year's report, which is actually a report of last year. We put this together during the summer, and then we distribute it to the school divisions. On a 2-year rotating basis, we actually go to the school board meetings and present to the school boards. And so I'm here tonight to make our presentation. Now, I'm not going to go through all of the information in this report. You can certainly do that on your own. We've put together a brief video that summarizes all of the education resources available through WHRO. And I'll just point out that WHRO was actually created in the very first year, 1961, by Hampton City Schools and Norfolk Public Schools, because they wanted to be able to broadcast into classrooms with teachers on camera. So education has been part of our DNA since the very first day that we were created. So at this time, I'd like to go ahead and show the video and then have a few comments after that.
WHRO stands out as the nation's sole public media station owned by a collaboration of 21 school divisions. This distinctive ownership model places education at the heart of our mission, influencing every aspect of our work. Our team of educators is committed to offering students, teachers, and families innovative, free, high-quality programs and services. One key service that WHRO offers is eMedia VA, Virginia's leading digital content repository. With nearly 100,000 free, top-quality instructional resources, eMedia VA provides educators and students with videos, interactive tools, games, lesson plans, images, and more. This platform is designed to enhance personalized learning and make classroom experiences more engaging. For our youngest learners, WHRO offers exciting educational activities to spark their imagination. Our 3 education vans visit elementary schools with programs tailored to Virginia's standards of learning, covering literacy, numeracy, scientific investigation, and technology. We also support parents and caregivers, ensuring children are prepared for kindergarten and set up for success in their early school years. For secondary educators, WHRO provides a catalog of 27 award-winning, customizable online courses and digital resources. These media-rich, SOL-aligned courses are designed to integrate seamlessly with various learning management systems. They offer flexibility for face-to-face, flipped, blended, and fully online teaching environments, enriching lessons with engaging content. At WHRO, we celebrate student achievements through competitions that showcase their talents. The Great Computer Challenge, for example, gathers school teams from across the region at Old Dominion University to tackle real-world technology problems. Another highlight is our regional spelling bee, where middle school champions compete at WHRO's studio for a chance to advance to the Scripps National Spelling Bee. The local competition is recorded and aired on WHRO each April. Elementary students also have an opportunity to shine through our PBS Kids Writers Contest. This competition invites young writers to craft and illustrate their original stories, fostering creativity and critical thinking. Our Student Advisory Board reflects our commitment to student engagement. This group of high school students offers feedback on WHRO's content and has opportunities to create their own, influencing our online courses and eMedia VA resources. We're equally devoted to supporting educators through our professional development programs. Our workshops and training sessions provide teachers with cutting-edge strategies and tools, empowering them to inspire and guide their students effectively. Visit WHRO's education webpage to learn more about how these amazing free materials, programs, and resources can benefit you. At WHRO Public Media, we're proud to partner with our local school divisions and the Virginia Department of Education to shape the future of education one student at a time. WHRO.
So those are all of the resources that we offer through WHRO. We have a large education department. We try to meet the needs of school divisions. In fact, a number of the things that you saw in the video were actually requested by our owner-member school divisions. And so we try to be responsive to those needs. You'll see in the document, in areas where we're able to gather data on Isle of Wight's usage, in blue you'll see indicators of where Isle of Wight was using those resources. In a number of cases, we don't have the data because we turn the resources over to you and then you utilize them, and we can't measure that usage. But where we can, you'll see it in there. But probably the one thing that you'd be most interested in is on page 15, and this is your return on investment. And we have this broken down into two categories. And I'd like to focus on the first, which is direct resources and direct services. And each school division that's a member of WHRO donates a little over $3 per student. And from that money that you donate, if you look at the document and go through all of the calculations given for each of the items in there, you'll see that Isle of Wight receives a return on investment of $19.50 for every dollar spent. I'll be glad to answer questions if you have any.
Mr. Seward, thanks again for coming here tonight. I believe it was about 2 years ago when I first met you down at your studio with Mr. Cunningham. And I think it was pretty critical of WHRO, and I gave the good Dr. Kramer quite a bit of a hard time about whether or not we were getting a positive return on investment. After the past 2 years, I do think that we have seen positive return on investment. You've used these folks to do various things for the schools, and I thank you both. I think we're doing a good job. I do have one question, and perhaps this is more for Dr. Kramer. On page 7, there are a list of online courses there, quite a few. How many of those do we actually use? Do you know? And I'll put you on the spot, and I
You are
apologize.
absolutely putting me on the spot, and I will tell you, we'll get that information to you. We obviously use these resources in a number of ways, and perhaps we can provide you with an account of which resources we're using. So looking at our wonderful Deputy Superintendent of Instruction, Mrs. Getz, will get you that information.
Okay, thank you,
Right.
sir.
Absolutely.
And just to kind of tee up a conversation, I've asked both of our liaisons to give us a little feedback on another one of our finance courses, and after that, perhaps we can engage with Mr. Seward and his staff about finding some improvements for that area.
Absolutely. I would say, and Mrs. Seward, I think, could substantiate this, I think we, as a division, are utilizing as many resources as any division in the network out of the 21 owners, and we've been complimented as a result of that. So I would say, and you've been instrumental in helping us in that area, but Mr. Seward and Bert Schmidt, the CEO president, have actually complimented us on utilizing and accessing their resources more than many of the other divisions.
Yeah, I would say, because I got a chance to see all of the impact statements, I would say that Isle of Wight is one of the leaders in usage of resources.
That's outstanding.
And
That's
going
good to
back
hear.
to your question about the online courses, we understand that some school divisions may not be utilizing the online courses as heavily as others. We have some school divisions that use almost all of them, some that may only use one or two, and some that may not be using them at all. But what we do when we build these courses, within them there are at least, each course has anywhere from 100 to 200 digital interactivities that are specific to one SOL skill or a piece of information about the SOL. All of those are taken out of those courses and put in eMedia VA. So even though a school division may not be using an online course, they may be using those resources in the classroom in face-to-face instruction.
Understood. Okay. Thank you, sir. Anybody else? Thanks again for coming out, sir.
Thank you. And I'd like to make one other comment, and I would like to compliment Dr. Kramer, who has been a real leader in our Superintendent's Advisory Council. I want to thank him for that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And for the listening audience, the document that Mr. Seward was referring to is hanging on our online agenda on Board Docs. All right. Ms. Briggs, eye on instruction? Oh, there they are.
Good evening. My name is Justin Pinnock. Hello, Dr. Kramer, School Board Chair, and other members. This project is to celebrate the 250th anniversary of the American Revolution and Isle of Wight County's role in this part. This project was also a collaboration between Smithfield and Windsor's honors via U.S. history classes, as well as Smithfield's creative writing class.
Hello, my name is Kimberly Fridley. I attend Windsor High School, and I am part of Ms. Byram's class last semester. In this class, we were assigned a project on the Revolutionary War, and these were a list of topics that we got to choose from. My group chose the earliest settlers in Isle of Wight County, and...
My name is Nicholas Del Cruz. I also do attend Windsor High School, and my group for the project chose agriculture in Isle of Wight County.
My name is Anasia Boykins. My topic was early settlers. When getting this project started, we began by forming groups and picking topics. We also did research in which we would later discuss and explore on the field trips. Primary sources and local historical sites were involved in the gathering of research for our podcast.
My name is Zakaria Stevens from Mr. Kemp's class. My topic was early settlers. When doing this project, my favorite part was finding more information about the early settlers at the Isle of Wight Museum. Other students in Mr. Kemp's class pointed out that making podcasts is a good way to see the bigger picture and important facts about history of Isle of Wight.
My name's Caroline Gallo, and I'm a part of Ms. Lewis's creative writing class, and my part was doing revising and editing. I learned a lot from the Isle of Wight podcast project, not just about the city's history and culture, but also the power of storytelling. Seeing how audio connects with listeners and how the entire process from researching to editing came together deepened my appreciation for this. Although I didn't record any episodes, I still felt very connected to the project as I saw how everything came together.
Hello, my name is Bradley McGrath. I'm in Mr. Kemp's class. My topic was on Isle of Wight, how they contributed in the Revolutionary War. Here is a video of the process of the project. Thank you to Mr. Elliott for capturing the process of the video and making the video. Thank you.
A podcast. A podcast is when everyone has microphones and everyone's sitting around talking about a topic.
Our project, specifically, we were supposed to create a podcast explaining how it contributed, how Isle of Wight contributed in the Revolutionary War.
Our end goal was to just give more people information on the education of Isle of Wight County. So we had to start off by researching from these different articles that we got, and then we went on a field trip. We went to St. Luke's, the Isle of Wight County Museum.
And I lived in Isle of Wight County my whole life, and I've never went there. I didn't even know we even had a museum here.
Well, the Isle of Wight County Museum, we've been around since 1976, and we are here just to preserve all the history of Isle of Wight County.
So they ended up coming for just an overall review of a lot of the different subjects because of the fact that there's just so much history here in Isle of Wight County.
I think it makes it just a little bit more real for them when they head out to an institution or organization or a structure that actually had something to do with a special event. It's kind of like putting a name to a face, and they can realize, these things happened here.
There's a saying that goes, a good picture can be 1,000 words, but a real life view can be more than 1,000 pictures, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it's valuable, going to the place to do research, because it's more of a visual. A lot of people can't grasp just reading something, and they're better at looking at it and actually going to go see that it actually existed.
We're a community tool, a community partner, especially here for our different, educational sites, our different schools. And because of that, we're just expounding on what they're learning in the classroom.
So we started off on a Google Doc. It was mainly like a brainstorm. We were just plotting down ideas. Whatever we could find online, we'd post links, pictures, and then on that doc, we created like a script and the information we were going to talk about. We sent it to the creative writing class, and they edited our scripts a little bit.
For my creative writing class, our job was to make a portfolio for the project about the podcast. They had groups of different people, and we all got different scripts from different groups, and we all read it and then made edits. I felt like it was kind of like a teaching moment for all of us to we saw how many little mistakes can be in a scripture and different sections of what they mean and what they do.
It's definitely good because they're in the creative writing, so they have some of the skills that we might not have.
It's very good to have people who can review your work and see things from a different perspective and maybe put it into an angle that you haven't looked at it from.
I think it was kind of cool how different classes and different subjects tied together, because from one side you can learn about the history, and then the other side it's where the creative kids are coming in and really making it kind of fun and interesting to learn.
We used a media center in the library. There was just 4 or 5 microphones, a few chairs, computers.
Yeah, we used GarageBand. Miss Garrow kind of just walked us through how to use it, and we kind of took it from there. We just pressed record and started talking.
Yeah, we had the plan, she had the platform.
We had a conversation, we all script different paragraphs that we had, and we typed up things that we wanted to say, and we had different prompts to talk about, so we just split it in between each other.
Yeah, it was a group thing. It all blended well. One person would talk and the other person would talk like most podcasts do.
I feel like podcast is a very unique way to go with it, because you can reach a lot of people through all these different platforms that podcasts can go in. And I feel like the more viewers we get, the more knowledge we can spread and get more insights and information out.
A podcast is easier and more entertaining for people, because a lot of people don't have the attention span to read a 6-paragraph thing on history. I know I don't.
It's a really good way for people to introduce more deep topics to people who don't really want to read papers and things like that nature.
I'm more interested in having a conversation and talking to someone about something, reading a book. I don't know, I don't really learn that well from it. And back when people couldn't read, so orally is mainly what you had to do, because a lot of people couldn't read back in the day.
VA 250 is the commemoration of the American Revolution, and certainly that's important to our history and to our local history, just learning about what happened, what transpired.
I feel that local history is important because it just shows how other people grew up and how we're growing up now, and how different it is for us than it was back then.
So it gave me a better understanding of how things got developed, how long it took.
It's a reason to work together with our school system, with our museum community, and pull everyone together to create these really interesting collaborations, projects, podcasts, all kinds of things.
And I feel like the way that we're able to get from having just words on paper to being able to have a fun, free-flowing conversation, I really appreciate being able to have that freedom of being able to just have a cool, casual conversation around microphones with some of my friends.
Okay, so that was our video, but I would just like to go back a couple slides because some things just got a little mixed up, because none of us have actually all done this together yet. So I just want to go back to the field trip that we had taken in the beginning of the semester. This is where we had visited all the different sites, including the following. The first place that we had visited was St. Luke's Church. I loved this place because I learned a lot of new facts there that I didn't know. Like, for example, the oldest brick church in Virginia is St. Luke's. And also the oldest organ in the U.S. is also at St. Luke's, which I thought was pretty neat.
Our second destination was the Wight County Museum. I personally thought it was fascinating because not only did they have the world's oldest ham, they had the world's oldest peanut, and I thought it was really cool to see how agriculture shaped Wight County's culture.
Okay, our third stop was the courthouse. I loved this one because the teacher was super interactive with us, and we actually acted out a court scene that they had back in the Revolutionary War. And the only reason we had this record was due to a woman who had actually saved them during a conflict at the time and was able to get them out of the courthouse, so we have all the records that we do today, which I thought was
really cool. Is there anything y'all?
A podcast.
My name is Jackson Stanley from Mr. Kemp's class. I'm from Smithfield High School. Miss Lewis's creative writing class was working on this website that is still a work in progress. It is called Revolutionary Roots, and it will house all the podcasts from both schools, Windsor and Smithfield, and it was a collaborated effort from multiple students.
Thank you all for your time to listen to our VA 250 project.
Any comments from the board? Well, listen, are you all done?
Yes, sir.
So I think it's awesome that not only is it two different schools collaborating together on this project, but the fact that you're getting out and about and experiencing and learning some of the local history. We are very fortunate here in this area to be inundated with history. Whether you like reading or not, there's so much stuff to learn and read about in this area. Here's a question for you. When you guys get your website up and running, can you get with Mrs. Briggs and push that out?
Yes, sir.
I'd love to sit and I like the podcast because I listen to it on the way to work.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, that could definitely be a possibility in the near future.
So for my own entertainment, did you learn why they used to wear wigs in the old court?
Okay, yes, actually we did. So they wore them to show their, not nobility, but their stance, like in the courthouse. So like the different wig for the judge, different wig for the jury. And the bigger and more elaborate the wig, the more higher up the guy is. Like the judge, it has the biggest, most elaborate wig to where like a jury may not.
Did they have hair under the wigs?
Yes. Well, I mean, I can't talk for all of them, but most likely, probably.
It's my understanding that sanitation was an issue back then, and so a lot of them shaved their heads.
Do we have any more questions?
One more.
Okay.
Tell me about the bar in the courthouse. Who learned about the bar? In reference to the bar exam. We've all heard the bar exam.
Oh, the bar exam.
Yes.
I was going to ask this question.
All right. So
Seemed like
now
you
y'all
don't have
got
an answer.
homework. You got homework. Okay.
Good evening. So I'm Dr. Truitt. I've worked with these students as the history coordinator. I just want to let you guys know that we will have a reception at the Wight County History Museum with these fine students when the website is live, and you guys will all be invited. So stay tuned.
Very cool. Big round of applause.
These two aren't. I think they just.
All right, Madam Clerk, do we have speakers?
Yes. In accordance to policy BDDH-E,
Presentation of information on any subject will be concluded at the discretion of the board. No person will be recognized to speak more than once. Citizens scheduled on the agenda to speak will be permitted 4 minutes maximum time for their presentation. Delegations will be requested to limit their speakers to 2. Persons speaking are asked to be specific. State the issues for the board's consideration and attach a copy of your prepared remarks. If you have prepared remarks, they should be given to the board clerk. Please do not approach the board members. Any matter relating to specific students will be heard by the school board only in a closed meeting. And first we have Tara Abbey.
Do I have to hit this? Oh, okay. Good evening, members of the board, Dr. Kramer, and members of the community. My name is Tara Abbey, and I am the IWCS Nursing Supervisor. I ask that if you are here tonight to support the clinic staff to please stand. My priority is keeping the students and the staff in our divisions building safe. This involves ensuring that we are in compliance with Virginia Code, VDOE, and VDH requirements. The quality of care given in the schools is largely dependent on the training provided. I am actively developing a formal training program that meets all of the standards and requirements. As vital as this project is, it is difficult to complete because I have spent 300 hours covering clinics due to staffing issues. This equates to 7.5 weeks of time. Recently, our department had 6 staff members out, plus 2 RN vacancies. 8 of our 9 clinics did not have full staff in them. 2 clinics had no clinic staff in them at all. 6 of the clinics had no RN coverage, some or all of the day. There was 1 available sub-RN who was already providing coverage. When coverage challenges occur, the expectation is to rely on the trained building staff. VDH and VDOE set forth those guidelines to determine who is trained as backup. To summarize those guidelines, there are several staff roles who are allowed to help in the clinic. However, the only people who are not allowed to refuse to assist include clinic staff and admin. This means that in a staffing crisis, we may have to pull our admin to cover clinics. The data shows that the vacant positions remain open due to low pay, as it is the #1 cited reason for declining a clinic job in those that I have interviewed. A starting base pay for an RN sub with an associate degree is $19 an hour, which is the same as a BSN sub, despite the BSN nurse having an additional 2 years of education. Consider that they can go 5 minutes down the road and do the same job for $43 an hour. This large pay discrepancy is across the board with all of our full-time staff as well. We cannot staff this department if we cannot offer competitive pay. Earlier this year, I submitted a budget request influenced by the comparative analysis that I completed. Thoughtful consideration was given to being fiscally responsible, as I understood that this department is but one fish in a large pond. I asked for support in the form of stipend positions that would directly support the mission of completing the writing of this training program and should have already been established when I took this job. Those positions would reduce the risk of having to pull admin who already have an important job to manage medical needs. I understand that personnel conversations already took place and nothing from my proposal was approved to move forward. Medical needs in this county are rising, and this department is drowning without proper staffing. This school year alone, our clinics have logged 19,587 visits and have administered 12,980 medications. We have 567 pages of students with medical conditions like life-threatening allergies, asthma, diabetes, seizures, cardiac conditions, etc. These conditions require skilled knowledge and management from an RN. Research shows that having an RN in the building reduces chronic absenteeism, which is also tied to academic success, which is tied to funding and accreditation. Turnover is going to cost this division much more than the money that I asked for in my budget request. To train a new nurse properly should take weeks. The turnover of one nurse would cost roughly $15,000 to $20,000. There have been 7 new clinic staff members this year. One of our nurses has been here for 11 years, and she's resigned after this year because she can no longer afford to work here. Unless we want principals managing complex medical conditions like diabetes and performing nursing skills like G-tube feedings and catheterizations, I strongly encourage you to take another look at the budget request to pay our staff a competitive wage and make the open positions a little bit more appealing. Realize that this is a wise financial decision that benefits the entire community through a domino effect. I encourage all stakeholders to understand the implications of not having an RN in the clinic. Thank you.
Greg Brown.
All right, good evening, Dr. Kramer, members of the board. Since we're entering the budget season, I wanted to make a few comments on items that I believe would benefit our school system. But before I get to specific budget items, I wanted to make a few general comments. I've seen several news articles recently indicating that our new federal administration wishes to eliminate the Department of Education. I'm not an expert, but from looking at the grant report included in the agenda tonight, it appears our school system has budgeted over $4 million in revenue from a variety of federal grants, and I believe those are administered through the Department of Education. So I would just like to know what our plan is in case those funds are not available or payment is delayed. I believe much of this grant funding is to help low-income students and students with disabilities. Will we still be able to support these students who need extra help? I would hope that we remain committed to ensuring that all of our students, especially those most in need of support, get the help they need to prepare them for a college career and life. I'd also like to take the opportunity to remind the board and everyone here that while our students are at school, you are responsible for their health and well-being, mental as well as physical. Regardless of what they look like, what their heritage is, what language they speak at home, or how they prefer to be addressed, it is your responsibility to make sure that all of our students feel safe and welcomed in our schools. Whatever your personal views may be, you ask for the positions you have, you put work into getting them, and with that comes the responsibility to ensure that all students are protected from harm and are treated fairly and respectfully. For individual budget priorities, our need for new school buses has not changed, and I am sure you will be requesting another round of buses in this year's budget. My only suggestion here is that if we happen to have any data on repair and maintenance costs for each bus, that might help make the case to the Board of Supervisors and the general public that keeping buses on the road past their service life has a very real cost that we are paying. We also need to look at our compensation package for bus drivers, teachers, nursing staff, to make sure that we are at least competitive with surrounding school districts. We still need a maintenance facility that can accommodate our school buses. I believe you are going to include that in the budget this year, which I hope you do. If you do, that's great news. Our maintenance personnel will be able to perform faster, safer, and higher quality work if they can do it in an enclosed facility out of the weather. So I know the superintendent, his staff, and all of you on the board have put a lot of work into balancing the budget and beginning to address our backlog of issues. I would like to thank you for your efforts, and you have my full support in continuing to improve our school system so we can provide the best education possible to all our young scholars. Thank you.
Is it Matthew Brooks or Brooks? Brooks. Okay.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Matthew Brooks. I'm the parent of a sophomore in Smithfield High School and an 8th grade at the Smithfield Middle School. I'm here tonight to advocate for the Smithfield High School band and the urgent need for a new band room. I have a child who is in the marching band, jazz band, and honestly anything to do with music at the high school. This is the same band that you see on the field during halftime at Smithfield, marching down Main Street for any of the parades and other community events. Our band is more, though, than just music. It's the cornerstone of our school. It fosters discipline, teamwork, and creativity, enriching the lives of our students and bringing pride to the school and the community. However, our current facilities are severely hindering the band's potential. Our band room is cramped and outdated, instruments are damaged and in short supply, uniforms are worn and dated, and technology virtually isn't there. This is all limiting our students' access to modern music education tools. This inadequate space also restricts the ability to grow the program, which the band director, Mr. Fain, is trying to do. The time has come to invest in our band's future, and we need a new band room that can accommodate the growing program and provide a conducive learning environment, to include the larger space for rehearsal, individual practice, and ample storage space for instruments and uniforms. Instrument upgrades, finding reliable instruments, fixing them, and maintaining them over time. Uniform renewal, some modern, well-fitting uniforms that instill pride and enhance the band's visual presence. And technology, incorporating the best technology that helps promote the learning curriculum and provide interactive learning tools for our students. Investing in our band program is an investment in our students, It's an investment in their artistic development and their personal growth and the future success. By providing them with the resources they need, we empower them to excel and contribute to the school's vibrant culture. I urge the board to approve funding for a new band room and continued support for Smithfield High School Band. Let's work together to help our students. Thank you very much.
I have Kimberly and Nathaniel Newman, but I don't think they're here, so I think they just signed in. So Mr. Uzzle.
Well. Good evening to y'all. Good to see you again. My name is Michael Osm from Mahara District. I'm here to let the school board know that you might already heard that the county has put together a program called the Commission with Adults with Disabilities. And I'm a part on that committee. I'm here to hand y'all some flyers out to participate, come to our meetings to see what we is all about. What we're trying to do is to piggyback off the school system with their kids with disability. When they comes out of school, then they have somewhere we can help them further their either education or job-wise. So I'm just here on a brief second to just give y'all at least some flyers here for y'all to attend our meetings at some point and get some feedback. And we're looking for committed people from Carsville District. We have no representation from Carsville District yet, but for our Carsville District people that's out there, we're looking to have y'all on our committee, because like I said, we are all working together with the adults with disability and the student with disability. And I'm pushing forth all the effort I could to make this thing work, because at some point, we all gonna need some help. So we want to try to put these things in place. And I thank you for your time.
Herb DeGroff.
Mr. Chairman and board members and Dr. Kramer, I wanted to come tonight for a couple of reasons. One, to thank you for your kind expressions of sympathy and condolences on the loss of our oldest son, Aaron, who was a proud graduate of Smithfield High School back in the 80s. He dedicated himself to the art field and presented Da Vinci and Michelangelo and all their buddies to as many people who wanted to come and see those exhibits, whether it was at the Ringley Museum in Sarasota, Florida, or the Muscarelli at William & Mary, or the Orlando Museum of Art. And when his wife Lee called to say that Aaron had passed away, I said, well, those guys he was showing to everybody, he's up there talking to them right now. He's having quite an experience. So thank you again very much for your sympathies and condolences. Dr. Kramer, I want to commend you and Mr. Marsh for that fine op-ed that you all wrote in the Smithfield Times. And I think it really leads to a kickoff to your 26 budget deliberations, because I think the comment in here that we temporarily found this to be painful, but it inevitably rendered the success of the fiscal outcome for the school system. It's a great jumping off point. Haven't had the opportunity to chair a cost reduction program for one of the companies I work for. This is your opportunity to do that kind of thing. And that lady you got sitting over there, Miss DeVary, you couldn't have a better expert when it comes to being able to put her finger on the pennies in every dollar to make sure you get the max out of every dollar you get. But where you found the ability to probably do some things cost-wise, take that forward in 26 and the years to come, because I guarantee you, there's money there to be saved or redirected more effectively. But really a good op-ed. Last thing, Mr. Marsh sent that email out about the work that was done by the school and the students that were here tonight to make this presentation. The Smithfield Times really does some good things relative to our history in this county. And the article, if you haven't read, Virginia Civil Rights Giant spent part of his childhood in Wight County. Henry Marsh III had the opportunity to meet him at the General Assembly back in the 90s when he was elected to the Senate there after having been the mayor of Richmond. He grew up part of his childhood here at age 5 when he and his brothers and sisters lost their mother, and his father had to split up the family and ask his wife's sisters to help raise the kids. A phenomenal story of a man who was an extremely successful person who started about as poor as you can get. And in that regard, if none of you have ever been to the Isle of Wight School Museum on Main Street, across in front of Smithfield Baptist Church, had the opportunity to serve on the committee that brought that addition to the Christian Home Rosenwald School down there behind Gillham's store back in the woods, couldn't get the original school out because it had already fallen in and had too many copperheads under the floor that time of the day. So we didn't bother going in there, but we were able to bring that addition, and what the docent has in there is a real educational experience for all of our kids. So Dr. Kramer, you're going to be getting a phone call from her. I gave her your number to call you and invite you to come and find out what that is. And I honestly think that every child in Isle of Wight County, by the time they get out of middle school, should go to that school on a field trip just to see how it used to be 100 years ago. A whole lot different than today. If we think we have issues with schools now, hey, a lot of people stoked a lot of fireplaces to stay warm in one of those kind of schools back in those days. So thank you very much. Keep up the good work. I know it's not easy, but hey, that's why you get paid the big bucks. Thank you.
That was the last speaker.
Thank you, ma'am. And thanks for everybody who came out to speak tonight. All right. Is everybody good, or we need to take 5? You want to take 5? All right, let's do that. All right, we're back in session. 14.1, reports from student liaisons. Over to you.
Thank you. So earlier in the month, we had a student advisory meeting with Dr. Kramer that was really successful. We had a lot of great conversations. One was working with United Way to bus students who participate or who could participate in after school activities to have a way to get home, because not all kids have transportations like cars or parents willing to pick their kids up. The busing, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but the busing would allow students to participate and then have a ride home. Next up, I would like to thank all of the people who went to the Beetlejuice showing. It went very well. We were very pleased with the outcome of the crowds. And then we have a forensics competition this Saturday, actually. We'll be competing at Randolph-Henry for the regionals, but because it's so small, we'll be going straight to the super regionals, but it's just the extra step we have to do. And then planning a little seed of thought, busing kids to the graduation. We could meet up at Windsor and then from there bus to Liberty Live. I feel like that's more convenient, especially for the kids who live all the way out in Camptown. It's just a lot, and I think Smithfield gets bussed out or has gotten bussed out, so I would like Windsor to get bussed out as well. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Cameron?
This month, earlier on the 7th and the 8th, we sent students to Beta Convention. We had them competing in marketing, speech, performing arts, and apparel and design. We took 7 students, and 4 of the groups who competed placed. Earlier this week, on Monday, our drama team had a fundraiser at Q Daddy's from 5 to 8, and 10% of the sales from that night went to the drama team. And prom tickets are going to be going on sale on March 1st. Prom itself is going to be taking place on May 3rd, and the theme is Las Vegas/casino night. The tickets are $50 before spring break and $60 afterwards. And then a while before then, on April 25th, the senior trip to Washington, D.C. is going to be taking place, and seniors who have paid their dues can get in contact with Ms. Mays about that. Other than that, we're having another blood drive hosted by our ROTC, and it's going to be next Wednesday from 8 to 2 for students in the ROTC building, and debate is going to regionals next Friday at Smithfield.
Okay. Any comments from my colleagues up here?
Any issues at the school? Anything going well?
Not at the moment. No issues as of right now.
All right.
So, yes, sir.
I'd just like to hear a little bit more later on, Connor, about the buses to the graduation, what the impact would be on the parking. Would it be significant, or would parents want to take their kids home after, from Liberty Live? So I'd like to talk to you a little bit about that. Okay.
All right. So it's not my intent to start a new conversation, but rather just plant a seed for a future conversation. It's kind of my thing. I like to pick on these two and task them with stuff before the board meetings. And I asked them both to give me a little bit of personal feedback and perhaps a little bit of feedback from some of their peers about our self-paced, instructor-led finance course. So if we could entertain a little bit of feedback, I'd be grateful for that.
Right, so I mentioned to you, for a class that is needed to graduate, you don't really want your students finishing it in 4 weeks or less, because at that point you're not really getting anything out of it. Have taken the class, I could not really tell you much about what I learned in there, just because the teacher is not, it's not teaching, it's just proctoring. So I feel like it would be more beneficial if the class was in person and teaching. That's all I got.
Thank you, Connor.
I'll just agree with what Connor said, because I took economics and personal finance in my freshman year, And after about maybe like the first 2 or 3 weeks, once you've gone through all the modules, there's kind of nothing to do for the rest of the class. And because people know that going in, they kind of tend to just like click, 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 or get someone to do the modules for them just so that they can be done and over with. So maybe, you know, as a way to alleviate this problem, you release the modules gradually so they don't have the option to just click, 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 you know, and get them all done at once.
Do you think it's fair to say that most of your peers echo that sentiment?
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you both. So again, Dr. Kramer, it's not my intent to, you have something?
Yeah, are they interactive? Is it just teaching, basically just talking to you, or is it getting you to do anything or, you know, put it in practice in any way?
The modules that we had to take when I had economics and personal finance are kind of just general questions. Like they have a quiz at the end of each module about FAFSA or this or that. I couldn't remember what much of them were about, but you can kind of just click out and
You think it would help if it was more interactive?
Not necessarily, because, I mean, all of the students use the Quizlets online to do the quizzes. So I think even if it was more interactive, the students would, like we said, click, 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 go to Quizlet. Look, you can actually type in, you know, third quiz on economic and personal finance, and it gives you every answer, every question, just right there.
Gotcha.
Thank you for the question, Mr. Chair, if I may. So Connor, Cameron, thank you for your feedback. I would like to explore this a bit further, perhaps at our next Superintendent Advisory Board meeting. And Cameron, we're going to invite you there as well. And Ms. Getz, you will be our special guest to engage in dialogue with us regarding this. So thank you for the question, Mr. Chair.
Thank you,
both.
sir. Just that I think it's worth a conversation for sure. Appreciate it. All right, let's move right along here. Item 15.1, I think that's our first action item. It's a resolution for the sale of surplus cameras.
All right. Mr. Chairman, school board members, Dr. Kramer, this is the sale of surplus cameras, and I brought Mr. Cooperrider to go into more detail concerning the agreement between Allen White and Gloucester County Public Schools for the desired cameras and related equipment. Yeah, Mr. Cooperrider.
Good evening, Board. Dr. Kramer. I just wanted to make the board aware that, so during our transition or our sale of surplus items this year, the company we chose to purchase our surplus items stated that they would be able to recycle those items for free, but they would not offer us any monetary value for them. At that point, just as a reaching out effect, I sent an email to all the IT directors in the region and Gloucester, which doesn't happen to be in our region, but I do know him. And Gloucester was the only one who expressed interest in relieving us of that surplus equipment.
So in the end, we came up with an agreement to make sure that we sell that equipment to Gloucester, and in the overall, it was approximately 31 Cisco 6620 models, 11 Cisco 3520 models, 9 Cisco 6600, and a few additional cameras. So that equipment will be sent to Gloucester, and the payment will be sent back to us for that surplus equipment. And that is the action item.
Any comments? I'd be willing to entertain a motion if somebody would like to make one.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the resolution presented for the sale of surplus cameras to another school division.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Madam Clerk?
Mr. Colick?
Yes.
Mrs. Perkins?
Yes.
Mr. Wooster?
Yes.
And Mr. Marsh?
Yes, motion passes.
Thank you.
And Mr. Cooperrider, kudos to you. At least somebody can get some use out of them rather than throwing them in the trash. So,
thank you, sir.
Okay. 16.1, the IWCRO program update. How we doing, ladies?
How are you? Good evening, Chair Marsh, members of the board, and Dr. Kramer. I have with me tonight Cassie Rowland. She's one of our reverse inclusion teachers. She didn't want me to say this, but she's also an aspiring administrator in our IL LEAD program. So we have her up here to present with me tonight. We're going to talk a little bit about one of our initiatives this year. It is our partnership with Little Lions Soccer Club out of Williamsburg. And I'll turn it over.
Hi there, my name is Cassie. Just a little bit about our preschool program. Reverse inclusion is the practice of placing typically developing students into an early childhood special education classroom to serve as social, emotional, and communication partners for students with disabilities. We currently have 3 classrooms throughout the county at Carrollton, Hardy, and Windsor Elementary.
Before she moves on, I'm just going to point out quickly, that's my little guy.
In our reverse inclusion programs, we utilize community-based instruction to help students generalize their learning by practicing skills in the environment where they will ultimately use them. An example of that is our field trips. We often go to places in the community that they may have the opportunity to experience with their families. One of our areas of focus this school year is participation in recreational sports.
So I have the dual role of being the director of this department, but also being a mom of a student who has autism. And I have found it very difficult to get him involved in extracurricular recreational activities in the community. He's awesome at kicking a ball and throwing a ball. All his gross motor skills are great. But for him, following the rules and understanding the social aspects of participation make it really difficult. And I echo this concern from our SEAC parents as well. They have brought this to my attention, and so what we did this year was we brought that recreational sport to us. So for the 24-25 school year, our reverse inclusion programs, we partnered with Little Lions Soccer Club out of Williamsburg. I literally started calling people and asked, would you be willing to come to us? Here's what we want to do. And they were the ones that said, absolutely, tell us more. We did start this program the week of September 16th. It was an 8-week program. The students participated for one 30-minute session each week for that 8-week session in total. And like Cassie said, all 3 of our classrooms at Windsor, Hardy, and Carrollton were able to participate. And you can see the pictures there from Carrollton and Windsor and Hardy. All of the kiddos they really just did such a great job with this program, and you can kind of see on their faces in that top picture how much, they were excited to take part in this. Little Lions was not only willing to come to us, which was awesome and in itself, but they actually focus a lot on fun and friendship. So it was not so much for us understanding how to play soccer, but just being a part of the team and getting the opportunity to just have fun and work with their classmates outside of the classroom in this really kind of unique opportunity. So that was a great pairing for us.
So sports provide opportunities to interact with peers in a structured environment, which fosters friendships and teamwork. I think what was most impactful about this opportunity is them coming to us and really allowing our students to learn in an environment they are familiar with alongside their friends they've already made. It helped them learn how to communicate, collaborate, and resolve conflicts.
So again, you can see all of our kiddos there in all ability levels, in all had equal participation and honestly equal fun in this opportunity.
So for children with disabilities, being part of something within their community helps foster a sense of belonging and identity. So hopefully in the future they'll be able to take these skills that they learned with us to join other soccer programs.
You can see how we use this opportunity to actually also provide therapies. So in the left picture, we have our physical therapist working with one of our students during the soccer lesson. And the picture to the right, we have one of our speech pathologists working with that group. So we're then taking all of those skills that we learn in a more clinical setting and taking them to the playground in a more practical and functional way for the kids. And as I mentioned earlier, the kids really have enjoyed this. The teachers have enjoyed it. They've asked for it to come back. And so we, again, called and asked if they would be willing to do a spring session with us. But we wanted to do more for our kids, especially those in our special populations classrooms. So we're expanding this spring. And we're taking this program to all of our special populations classrooms in our elementary schools. So all of our kids will have an opportunity for this 8-week spring soccer session. And that's all we have for tonight. Do you guys have any questions for us?
Yes. Do you see this type of program going further as the kids grow older into the middle and high schools?
I would love for it to go further. Currently, in the high school, we do have our Tri-Cities Basketball League.
Yes, we do.
And our parents in SEAC have actually asked us to explore Special Olympics and other opportunities for the kids. Right. So we're taking a look at possibly being able to do some of that as well. But I would love for us to be able to expose our kiddos to these social activities during the school day, school week, because it is as important for them as our academics are.
Oh, that's great. And as an aside, could you make sure everyone on the board gets a copy of the Tri-City schedule?
Yes.
Thank you.
We can do that.
Do you coordinate with the county? I know they hired, I forget her title and her name, but I know they hired a young lady to do special needs athletic stuff.
We do, and actually she was at our last SEAC meeting to present to the parents about the offerings that they currently have. Unfortunately, most of those are geared towards adults, and so that population of preschool to school age is not quite in their area of expertise just yet. So we don't have that option for that school age student right now.
Got it. Anyone else? Thanks, ladies. Appreciate the update.
Thank you.
All right. I believe Ms. Briggs, I believe you're up. School calendar.
Good evening, Chair Marsh, board members, Dr. Kramer. Tonight, we're presenting a draft calendar for the 25-26 school year. This is just for information only tonight. To give you a little bit of background, we did conduct a survey. The survey was open to any member of the school community. It was open from January 24th through February 7th, and we had 799 responses. I'm sure number 800 was online at 12 o'clock and I turned the survey off, but that was a pretty good participation number. We had 57% of the respondents were parents, 11% were in the parent-employee category, 30% employees, 1% students, and 1% community members. And I'm glad our student liaisons are still here tonight in case they have any comments they'd like to make about the proposed calendar. Overall, 83% of the respondents had no further recommendations to the proposed calendar. I don't know that there are very many surveys out there where you can get 83% of anyone, of any group, to say they support something. So that was pretty good. I do want to share some of the feedback we got. Some general feedback. Employees appreciate virtual work days. And we had multiple categories of people that appreciated the after Labor Day start. From concerns, we also had some people that would prefer a before Labor Day start. So their concern was the after Labor Day. But I have to tell you, out of 800 people, 799, they were single digits that came back on either side making comments about those. We did have 4 to 5% of the respondents had questions about asynchronous days, some concerns about that, and the 3 days between semesters at the end of January, especially coming off a 2-week winter break. So one of the things that I concluded from doing this is I do think it would be very beneficial for there to be kind of an explanation that goes along with some of these dates. For example, the reason we have the days between the semester is at our high schools, they're on a 4x4 block. So at the end of first semester, they completely re-rack for a new year. So you think about all the days and times teachers have at the beginning of the year to get ready for their semester. Well, now they've got to do that mid-year to get ready for new classes. So we do add in additional days to allow those high school teachers to prep for new classes that are coming to them at the start of second semester. Probably that explanation would help our parents understand why we do that. The asynchronous days, that's a request that we received from the Superintendent's Advisory Board, especially from students, and not just through the Superintendent's Advisory Board, but when you went out and had face-to-face meetings with the students, we got a lot of feedback from especially high school students saying, look, sometimes we just need a day to catch our breath. We'll do work, but can we just have a day outside of the building where we're getting caught up on this work? Teachers get a chance to get caught up. It's an instructional day. And so once again, the numbers were very small, but I do think we can explain why we have built those days in. And that is certainly something we can put together on our website that goes along with our calendar to answer some of those questions. So what's next? Well, we will present a final draft to you at the March meeting, and we hope you will vote on that. I will say there's one small change on the calendar from what was on the survey. Let me see if it's up here. Okay. In October, we do have early release days for elementary schools for the homecomings. So the feeder schools for Windsor High would have an early dismissal the day of homecoming, and I believe they're proposing that's October 3rd of next year, where the feeder schools for Smithfield High, the elementary schools, would have an early dismissal day on the 10th. But one thing that wasn't on there, this year we did an early dismissal on Halloween. And part of that was because the downtown area in Smithfield was closing to traffic at 4 o'clock, and we had the bridge closure. We received a lot of positive feedback from parents about that, because right now we know our elementary students, some of them get home quite late, 5:30, 5:45. And on that night, that really does put a hardship on families if they're waiting around and they're trying to enjoy that event. Later this year, Halloween is on a Friday. I'm sure teachers are rejoicing that it's on a Friday. Yes, our weekend. So we are proposing that we do another early dismissal for our elementaries on Halloween. That seemed to go over well. The only criticism we got about it was that we announced it fairly late, but that was mainly because I think of when we found out about the street closure. So it worked well, so we're proposing to do that again. But once again, I'd love to hear feedback from board members, from students about the proposed calendar before we bring back the final draft to you in March.
Sounds to me like you got it right. And as far as Halloween goes, I say let the goblins go be goblins. So, anybody else? Connor, what you got, bud?
Yeah, I mean, this is a pretty good schedule. I think that I hate to miss it, but for all of the fellow students, I think the asynchronous days were much needed. I know for me personally, it gives you something to look forward to. And then for the elementary kids, the early release date would be perfect. So, great job.
Thank you, Connor.
Connor, isn't that your dad out there?
Yes, sir.
Do you think your dad gets asynchronous days?
He gets Wellness Fridays every other Friday, so he's in a good spot.
That kind of backfired, sir.
We love Connor's honesty.
Connor's always very honest.
Very honest.
So Connor can attest to this fact as a member of the Superintendent's Advisory Board. I've had conversations with all of the advisory boards, our parents, our staff, and our students, and they unanimously support this calendar. And that's important, and Ms. Briggs stated it very well. Last year, when we made fairly significant changes, or changes, I should say, we did some polling in person of those various groups, and significantly, it was Windsor High School last year. The students said to me, I remember that, and Con, I think you were in that room, when they said, we participate in sports, we work, we're taking rigorous courses. It's good to be able to have some time built in to get caught up. So this calendar, I think, helps to meet the needs of our students and our staff members, and the parents as well. I said to them, what do you think about this calendar? And they all supported this calendar. Ms. Briggs did state, I was chided a tad bit because last year the Halloween closure was the week of Halloween. So I said, if we're going to do that again, they strongly recommend we put that in the calendar. So that's the only, I think, slight change we've made from last year's calendar. And I would say, Connor, you benefited from the calendar this year. So I think this year's a good calendar as well, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Moving right along. Thank you, Ms. Briggs. 16.3, budget calendar. Sir?
So this, sir, is the calendar that we have proposed. Mr. Very, I think, presented this a few board meetings ago, perhaps back in the January board meeting. At this moment, we are prepared to present the superintendent's proposed budget. What date are we looking at here? February 20th. And these dates are up to you, you, the board, to determine whether you'd like to move forward, make adjustments. Ms. Briggs did remind me, and I asked her not to move too far from the dais, that we're tracking some weather again for next Thursday, so we need to keep that in mind as well. But these are the dates that we have compiled. But, Mr. Chair, you and members of the board can make adjustments to the extent you deem appropriate.
I'll start here. I guess with respect to the possible storm next week, unless my colleagues disagree, maybe we can make a decision early next week, kind of watch the forecast, and if we need to reschedule early, move it left or right, I think we can flex on that. And Mr. Collick proposed perhaps a virtual meeting. So I think we've got options. Might be a little early to.
Maybe a recommendation might be to schedule that meeting, but go ahead and schedule a second date. I will say
For the notification purposes.
Yes. Plus, you'll get it done tonight versus trying to communicate with everyone. Folks will know. And we've not really done a virtual meeting. Personally, I would hate for the budget discussion to be the first virtual one we attempt. So that's just my recommendation, to go ahead and get yourself your primary date and a backup date.
So let's schedule the 20th, and if you guys disagree, yell at me here, but let's schedule the 20th, and then maybe perhaps in the event we get foul weather, maybe the 25th as a backup date.
Yeah, I do have one question. What is the drop dead date, the last day that we can approve this and send it to the Board of Supervisors? Is that the end of March or the end of April?
It's supposed to be to the Board of Supervisors no later than March 31st.
March 31st. Okay, thank you.
And when we do decide to schedule the public hearing, it would need to be at least, is it 7 days before we would, to publish, to advertise it? In the paper.
So are we good with scheduling a backup date?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I am, and you mentioned the 25th, I think?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, for me, that works.
We don't have Mr. Cunningham here. What
It's,
about you? Okay.
On the downside, though, it gives us 2 days, just under 2 days to prepare for the work session. So let's pray it does not snow.
We could do Monday. Are you open Monday?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I'm sitting here looking at my work calendar right now. The potential dates for the following week would be the 24th. Okay, I'm sorry, the 19th or 20th. It's already scheduled for the 20th, so let's stick with that one. And the 24th, the following week.
I can juggle my schedule on the 24th to make that happen.
Okay. So Monday evening, we'll just schedule that for a backup date in case Thursday gets canceled.
Okay. I just need a time for the 20th.
Same time.
Normal time? Do 5 p.m. for the 20th?
Yeah, just no times have been chosen for any of these. So 5 o'clock?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or do you guys want to move it to the left a little bit? What do y'all want to do?
What's best for the staff?
We will make ourselves available. Let's go with your schedule since you all seem to have most of the conflicts, so.
I usually have to juggle childcare. I could be here as early as 4:30 without a concern.
Because of the traffic.
Yeah, so I was thinking if they're here and they are scheduled here. 5. Because of the traffic flow here, it might be really difficult getting in, so it might be best to stick with 5.
So February 20th, 5 p.m. It's a primary date for your presentation.
Correct.
And then February 24th, 5 p.m. is a backup date, weather pending.
That's right. And then I think, Mr. Chair, for the 20th, I think we had on at least one of the draft calendars, we were looking at, I think, consecutive Thursdays. So I think it was 20th and then 27th was a date that we had selected at one point.
Yep.
They're both Thursdays.
Yes.
Yes.
So we'll schedule a work session on the 27th, so it'll be 2 days later. I think I'm good with that. You guys good with that?
I have no issues.
Yeah, I say we'd have to play that by ear, keep it on the schedule and on the night of the recommended budget. If we need to change it, we'll change it then.
Okay. And what's the requirement for advertising a hearing?
Ms. Briggs?
It's 7 days. It's 7 calendar days.
Got it. Okay.
And just a reminder, as we did last year and I think the year prior, we will adjust and pivot as need be. So if we need more dates, we can certainly add those as, again, we need to.
Yeah.
And we do have, it looks like 10 or 11 days cushion, so we're fine.
Yeah, we got a little flex room in there,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, we do. We got plenty.
And we're scheduled to approve it on the 20th. In reality, as we've got until
31st.
So, but I'm sure those fine folks would like it sooner than later. Okay. Madam Clerk, can you send out an invite?
I did already, yes, sir.
You're awesome.
I just changed it from tentative to.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if you would, please reach out to Mr. Cunningham tomorrow and
Yes, sir.
kind of echo this conversation, please.
Okay.
I want to make sure he's good with all this.
I sure will.
All right. Anything else on this? Okay, give me a date.
21st.
Friday. You do Wednesday?
What day?
19th?
Working. Remember, I work 48 hour shifts. The 18th or 21st.
Okay. Mr. Collett, Mr. Perkins, you guys have any comments on March 20th? Mr. Wooster proposes the...
What was that, on adjusting the initial meeting?
No, March 20th.
Okay,
For March 20th, I am scheduled for work that day.
yeah.
So I'm requesting either March 18th or March 21st as a separate date for to hold that meeting.
I can do the 18th, definitely can't do the 21st.
Okay. Change the March 18th, March 20th to the 18th? Same time, unless someone objects. Okay, I think that's,
No, March.
good to go?
I'm good.
You good, Ms. Perkins? Doc, we missing anything?
Nope,
Okay.
I think we have a plan.
All right, to rehash, we're going to set February 20th, 5 p.m. for your presentation. February 24th as a backup date to the 20th, in case we have foul weather. We're going to stick with February 27th at 5 p.m. for our first work session. March 6th for our public hearing. We've got March 13th again for our work session, and March 18th for the day we approve it or vote on it.
Do you want to have the public hearing at 5 o'clock?
Since it's a public hearing, what say you folks about pushing that back a little bit? It's a public hearing.
I would definitely push that back.
Yeah, give folks a chance to show up from work.
Yep.
Are you recommending 5:30 or 6 o'clock?
6.
6.
Yeah. Anything else, Madam Clerk? Keeping us honest over here.
That's it, sir.
Okay, that's why you got flowers tonight, right there. All right, then I say we move along. Everybody good? Okay. What's next? Finance reports.
Good evening. I don't have much to say about the January financials, except for I'll point out with the health insurance fund, claims are still, we're in excess of 35% as compared to this time last year. We have met with our consultant. They do believe, I guess, the claims will slow between now and the end of June. So we'll just have to watch and see what happens.
Okay. I've got a few questions unless someone else wants to go first. I made this comment last month and just echo it again, perhaps for Dr. Coleman. Given that there's only $500,000 remaining in the operational maintenance budget and we're only 7 months into this fiscal year, do you have any concerns moving forward? Anything, it just seems like that's a lot to have been encumbered out of an $8 million line item.
At this time, I don't have any concerns to that extent. Of course, you already know that we had a boiler issue and a chiller issue at Smithfield Middle School, so that has depleted a lot of those funds as soon as it comes in. And then it was the water cleanup at Smithfield Middle School also, with bringing in the extreme restoration companies to ensure that the air quality was on par. So things of that nature has took a bigger dip out of that budget, but at the same time, right now, I think that everything will be okay. But I will definitely keep you informed.
Yes, sir, please do. Keep an eye on that. I know you do. Just keep us informed. Could one of you talk about, we transitioned over food services in-house this year. And if I'm jumping the gun, Mrs. Couch, I'll just wait for you to get up here. But how are we tracking for budgeting? Are we about on par with how we budgeted, or are we doing better than expected? So I ask because I would expect there'd be some unforeseen expenses, given that this is our first year.
Well, as you can see in the report, it's showing that currently through January, there is a deficit of almost $250,000. Part of that is because we're always 1 month behind in posting the revenues. So the revenue that we receive for January doesn't get posted until February. So we're always kind of 1 month behind there. And then to any of the other expenses, either Dr. Coleman or Mrs. Couch.
Yes, sir. Okay. Other expenses, as you stated, wasn't budgeted for, but we're working through that process. One of the things that was mentioned earlier was concerning some of the, I would say, the mixers and different things of that nature, and the kitchen equipment. We're working with vendors at this time to ensure that we have everything needed. Ms. Couch and Mr. Ruffin has already done an inventory asset schedule for all cafeterias and the removal of all of those devices that are not working, something that hasn't been done in over 8 years. So we're working through that process. We have a full asset list for you and a cost more on the April school board meeting.
Okay.
You want me to share all that?
Good evening. Also to share with you, we've been looking at our meal debt. We have 4 schools that are not CEP, which is free lunch and breakfast, and collecting that meal debt from the 4 schools. I've actually been having conversations with parents about payment plans and how to repay that, but right now we've got about $32,000 in meal debt just with 4 schools. So working through that, and then food costs have gone up. And so looking into account how we can use our commodities money, which is money through USDA, money through the federal government, to, for an example, I've explained this to Dr. Coleman and Dr. Kramer the other day. We get so much money we've allotted for potatoes, free from the government, and then we take those potatoes and turn them into French fries through Cisco, and Cisco then brings us French fries, and then we sell those. So the French fries basically cost us nothing. So we're having to look now at our funds, and can we change some of our things into, for example, flour into dough for pizza, and using some of those commodity dollars that don't cost us any money at the bottom line, and using those to offset our costs. So we're really taking a microscopic look at our budget right now and seeing how we can curb some of those things. And then Mr. Ruffin and I are digging into production records, meal counts, to make sure that we're not over cooking too much food and having food left over as well.
And I wanted to just follow up with, please keep in mind, and I know that you are, Mr. Chair, that we've only been in food service for 8 months now under us, so it's still lots of hurdles that we have to actually jump over to get to where we want to go. For the past 8 or 9 years, food service outsourced, we've been left with not a lot of records that we can lean back on, and food production, anything, so we are literally starting from scratch. A lot of the items that the consultant brought with her, she was very knowledgeable, but a lot of it was guessing and proposing what a school this size should be doing. So just keep that in consideration as we work through these next several months to close out this year.
Okay. Sounds like you have a lot on your plate, pun intended.
It's all good. Also, we'll also piggyback on what Dr. Coleman said. When you have a contracted company come in, they don't take good care of your equipment. And so a lot of our equipment was kind of just put aside, just Band-Aid it. And so we've come in now and we have equipment to fix. So that's why you've seen some cost in those capital expenses, because we've had to fix ovens, and that's not cheap to fix an oven or freezer. So those things were kind of neglected for 8 years. So for years I wanted to learn how to be an HVAC tech. Now I think I want to learn on the refrigeration side so I can fix some of our things.
John Smith. All right, thank you. Anybody else have questions? Thanks, Ms. Couch. Mr. Very, I had a few more. I'll lob at you. On large ticket items, I see we bought a van for food service. I don't recall that being in the budget. Maybe it was.
And yes, the food service budget. It was not in the food service budget. And that was initially. All right. So one thing that the food service team has to do is transport food from school to school. Just for instance, I'm giving this example, and this is purely an example. Georgia Talon Middle School has an overload of chicken, and Smithfield High School is serving chicken that day, but they do not have enough in their freezer. So that food needs to be transported from one school to another school and vice versa throughout the division. When that is taking place, you need a secure van that is not being, or transport vehicle that is not being used by maintenance and lumber pickup and various items, of course, trash pickup, anything else. It needs to be a sanitized vehicle that is only used for that. The companies that we use, once again, had a transport vehicle of that nature, but we did not have a transport vehicle of that nature. So as you just stated, and as we just talked about, that was one of those unforeseen purchases that had to be done in order to be in compliance. So just wanted to bring some light on that.
Okay, good, thank you. I promise I won't call you back up here. Ms. DeVere, in the check register, there's a few transactions in there from Bank of America, and the description just says suspend. What does that mean?
Those, we're waiting for credits back on the credit card for those items. So it could be returns, it could be a duplicate charge. So instead of, posting it to an expense account, we put it in like a suspense account because it's pending.
Got it.
But most of them, the ones that you see here are all due, credits are due back on those cards.
Okay, thank you. And then on the grant fund report, there was a category in there that says unallocated, $90,000. What exactly does that mean, unallocated?
Just that, it's unallocated to a specific grant. When I estimated the total carryover from fiscal year 24, I included a little bit extra, so in case we had any smaller grants that came in. And then also, too, some of that balance came from like grants that we thought we were going to get a higher amount, and it ended up coming in a little bit lower. So it's just a appropriation.
Okay. Oh, last question. Check register. There was an item in there, 358430. It says Gateway Education Holdings, $4,500 and some change. What was that?
That's Mrs. Getz.
That is for additional MyView materials for our students. So our reading program, MyView, is additional materials for some grade levels. If we didn't have enough and we had more students in that grade level, we had to buy more materials.
Okay. That's all I got. Thanks. Anybody else? Thank you, ma'am. Support Services, Doc Coleman.
Mr. Chair, school board members, Dr. Kramer. All right. All right. All right, first, I'm going to go through the Carrollton Elementary School HVAC project. Our first meeting was on February 6th. The owner of JRC, the winner of the bid, was with us, Mr. Berryman, Thompson Engineering Team, and IWCS team. All right. Now, what was done at that meeting, RRMM shared a sample agreement that was sent to the company, verified by our attorney, Pack. So they have the actual contract now. They're finalizing that and will send it back to us. JR Mechanical did suggest replacing air handling unit 5 and 6. What that means is right above the stage at Carrollton Elementary School, you have 2 air handling units right there, easy to get to. They have received more damage than any other air handling units. So they're suggesting a change order for replacing those 2 units to start off with. That is the only change order that I have received at this time, or for us to think about, do we want to accept that? So I just want to push that out there now.
Sir, is that an added repair or just a deviation in sequence?
That is an added repair based off of the, I guess you can say, the HVAC schedule, meaning out of all of the air handling units that you have at Carrollton, once the system is replaced, once the entire system is replaced, if any air handling units are to blow out or go out, it would be one of those 2. So the question that I posed to the construction team was, after we finish this $5.9 to $7.4 million project, I do not need an air handling unit going out in a month, and I have to go back to the school board and try to explain to you that we just did a project, but at the same time, I'm going to need an additional $300,000. So with that stated, went through all of the air handling units. These 2 are the most susceptible to fail, so that's why we looked into those 2. Overall, there are 11 air handling units at Carrollton, but those are the 2.
What is that going to add to the cost overall?
It's going to add an extra $300,000 to the cost. So it will take the 5.9 right on up to 6.2 to start off with.
And that's within the budget?
That is well within the budget.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah, let's get it right.
Absolutely.
So if you got to ask us, we got to ask them. We don't want to have to go ask them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Construction progress meetings will be scheduled once or twice a month, the same way we did with the new Harding. Now, JR Mechanical is planning to begin work in the mechanical room in early spring. And that's something that I definitely will collaborate with Ms. Getz on concerning the early spring and going into the mechanical room. Once again, it's away from instruction. It's all in the backside of the mechanical room, but just making sure that we're all on the same page. The field measuring investigations will take place after school hours as contracted, and fabrication piping will begin during the spring also. On June 16th, 2025, the the school building will be turned over to the contractors. As soon as graduation occurs, everything is turned over to the contractors. Myself, Ms. Getz, we're working with the principal at this time to ensure that all staff understands the removal of all personal items from the building so that we can have a swift and smooth process there. Now, the owner will work with JR Mechanical. We'll work with JR Mechanical on the staging areas. So I'm gonna need the entire Carrollton parking lot and all of the area that exists out there for staging equipment, connexes, different things of that nature. And finally, the anticipated project completion is actually set for August 25th. So the whole push is to ensure that we have this completed by the start of next school year.
So during the summer, don't the administrators usually work through the summer?
They do. What we'll do is relocate them to another location, move their phone systems and different things of that nature, and let them work out of another building. We had to do it a couple of times when the HVAC system has gone out and we had to move the administration.
Okay. You have to pull all the tech equipment out of the schools?
I don't think we have to pull all the tech equipment out. I think it's pretty simplistic.
Computers and whatnot?
Yeah, I think everything's easy if you're not in tech. Yeah. He's shaking his head.
Saying, yeah.
Yeah, so you have
Sounds
to pull
like a big
everything
job.
out. Yeah.
Okay.
So, are there any questions on Carrollton HVAC? the other way. All right, next is the division baseball and softball teams. All right, one thing that we worked on over the past 3 years is we worked on athletic fields, and we managed to renovate those. We worked on the tracks. We have the funding, and we're completing the renovation on those. Tennis courts, weight rooms, all of that. As a board, Dr. Kramer, we worked through those items. The items that we haven't worked on was the Smithfield High School softball and baseball field, and the same thing for Windsor. So what we did was reach out to Mr. Christensen, work with the ADs and the principals of both schools to find out exactly what did the baseball teams need, and they needed infield dirt and outfield dirt, and a lot of it. So 119 tons of topsoil and in dirt was delivered to Smithfield High School baseball field and softball field in order to ensure that they're ready to play. And collaboration with the Smithfield High School Booster Club on a new concession stand is taking place at this time. Now we're just providing them with guidance and advice of how it's supposed to look and what how it can fall into our regulations and zoning. Windsor High School received over 70 tons of topsoil for their baseball field and softball field. Concerning the baseball field and softball fields, when looking at the CIP, Smithfield High School still have the lights for their baseball field still out, something that they're looking at, and concession stand for Windsor High School for their baseball, softball program. So those things just taken into consideration. All right. As we're discussing earlier, the Federal Program Accountability Review, the FPAR, took place this week. And first day was a pre-meeting at the admin office with Dr. Kramer. Miss Brittany Schaefer came down from the from VDOE and talked to us about what was going on, how it was going to happen, and everything else of that nature. Next, the observing of Carrollton Elementary School for breakfast, the observing of Windsor High School Wednesday for lunch, and then, of course, a small exit interview at the school administration building. This FPAW will be released in 30 days based off of the information that was gathered here for the last 3 or 4 days. So in 30 days, we'll have an out briefing on exactly what was found.
So it's a federal review, but it was observed by a state DOE rep?
What was Miss Schaefer? Miss Couch? What was Miss Schaefer actually?
Was it Miss Klein?
It was Miss Klein. It's not Brittany Schaefer.
Yes. And
Child Nutrition Part. Thank you, Dan.
yes, the person representative was from the Virginia Department of Education.
On behalf of the federal government?
Correct. Correct, with USDA. So they have to follow certain USDA regulations, and so they came down and did the monitoring, and they were here Monday until this morning.
Did you pass?
We'll wait on the results.
We will be bringing back, as Dr. Coleman, I think, mentioned, Mrs. Couch and Dr. Coleman and Mr. Ruffin will be presenting the results at the April meeting, which will give us enough time to get the results back. So April, you will know, you will have the report card.
Sure you did great.
They were very pleased.
Good. That's good to hear.
Thank you. And finally, the Smithfield High School weapons detection rollout. Just want to let you know these are fluid dates. These dates are a collaboration between Mr. Brinkley, the principal, and Ms. Getz. Locations were set up and reviewed. A lot of this information, as Mr. Walters came from Windsor High School in the trials and I would say tribulations that we suffered at Windsor High School until we got the situation correct. So locations will be set up and reviewed by February 14th. That's what we're shooting for. Parent information video. It states will be completed and information will be sent out to parents by February 24th. But the key is getting the information out to them maybe a week prior. So once again, we're looking at those dates, but they are fluid. I don't want anyone to hold us to that date, but we want to get the information to them 7 days prior. Student walkthroughs. Students will be presented with a video during Packer Block to review the walkthrough through the system. So allowing the students to come down, allowing the students to get a feel for the situation, to know what they can get through, what cannot get through, just getting them a feel for the situation to speed the whole weapons detection live date up. And of course, the go live date, screening will begin fluid March 3rd with the bus entrance transition to the front doors March 6th, and a plan to have both entrances operational on March 10th. So as you can see, everyone is working very collaborative to make sure that this is instituted and properly, very properly smooth.
Thanks, sir. Cameron, at our March board meeting, can you give us some feedback from your peers, like Mr. Connor did?
Yes.
Thank you.
Dr. Pullman, is there a way to have the weapons detection system set up so that the kids can randomly, like, let's say they have one of the water bottles or whatever, they can just go check it on their own at some point and know if it's going to set it off, so we don't have the anxiety that we saw at Windsor?
I think during the student walkthrough that could be an option. I know that Ms. Getz and Mr. Brinkley were actually planning this a little bit more out based off of the location.
Yes, we've spoken with Ms. Cuffey, and that is the plan. We'll have it set up in like either the commons area or near the cafeteria, and just allow students to walk through it. No pressure, just walk through it, see what goes off. So that's exactly what we're going to try to do.
Eyeglass cases, random,
Exactly.
random stuff.
Exactly. And that'll be part of the video also that Mr. Elliott will be working on, is showing how the students walk through at Windsor, what are the things that we found that set it off. So that was the purpose of that. So, yeah.
Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Kramer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Mr. Co-Writer, Mr. Elliott, you will cue the slides for me. So thank you, Mr. Chair, and good evening to everyone. Let's start as we normally do with our ISLE Award recipients. There we go. All right. So as they're pulling that up, I'll go ahead and congratulate our January ISLE Award recipients. So top left, we have the Inspire Award presented to Mrs. Stacy Rogers. Top right, the Succeed Award was presented to our own Ms. Liesel DeVary. Bottom left, the Lead Award was presented to Mr. John Smith and Mr. Eric Smith. John Smith is with us, and Eric Smith is with ABM, who's the contractor. And bottom right, the Empower Award was presented to Ms. Janet Jeffries from County Government. So a round of applause to all of our ISLE Award recipients. Next, very pleased to be able to mention this Beetlejuice. Thank you, Windsor High School Theater, for the outstanding production of Beetlejuice. My wife and I thoroughly enjoyed ourselves, and we were extremely impressed with the quality of the production, Connor, and the acting. Thank you, Ms. Beatty Riffle, the talented cast, and everyone who supported the production. It was really, really well done. And Connor wasn't the main actor that evening as Beetlejuice because we attended the production during the day, and I think Connor was featured that evening. So, but you still did a great job as a supporting cast member when we saw you. So, again, great job all. Yeah, round of applause for Connor. Yes. The Kiwanis Club. Thank you, members of the Kiwanis Club of Smithfield, for providing me with the honor of sharing information about our school division. I appreciated the great questions and active engagement, and we certainly appreciate everything you all do for our students, schools, and our community. It's always a pleasure for me to engage with that very active group of gentlemen here, and I'm featured there in the picture with the president, Mr. Jordan. Next, the superintendent advisories, and Connor alluded to this earlier. The next few slides are actually photos of the advisory, the student, parent, and employee advisory, and these photos are with the students. I had the privilege of meeting with these three groups at different times over the past few weeks. They all provide me with rich feedback from their various perspectives, and the information is used to help make improvements in our school division. Staff and I meet 3 to 4 times per year with each group. I will note that some of the recommendations they provide do inform budgetary requests. So thank you, advisory members, for your many contributions. I truly value those meetings and that feedback. Again, those are the students, and if you would go to the next, that's the parent. And actually, you see them taking a tour of the new central office building. And the last one, those are our staff members. And there's a representative from each school, or representatives, plural, from each school. Again, I get really valuable information. Trust me, they are not bashful. They are not shy. As you see here with Connor, they tell you exactly what's going on, and we get some really, really good feedback. And again, I convey that to you in many ways, and especially as we prepare for our budget presentation in a week. It is very well informed by our students, staff, and parents. And last, our new teacher cohort, I think it was session 3, the new teacher cohort met for the 3rd time this year at the community room at Centera at St. Luke's on February 11th. I think our staff are providing these opportunities for our new teachers to get together, to share ideas, to learn from our staff, and perhaps even more importantly, to learn from one another. Teaching is a challenging profession. In year 1, as all of us veteran educators will tell you, the first year is extremely challenging in many ways. So giving them a chance to come together, to learn together, work together, and to have that camaraderie is critically important. So thank you, staff, for creating that opportunity. Mr. Chair, that concludes my superintendent's update.
Thanks, Doc. Appreciate that. All right. Moving right along here. So action item, personnel report and addendum.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the personnel report and addendum as presented, a copy of which can be obtained from the school board clerk.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Colick?
Yes.
Mrs. Perkins?
Yes.
Mr. Wooster?
Yes.
And Mr. Marsh?
Yes, motion passes. 19.1 is our consent agenda.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the consent agenda as attached and presented.
Second.
Motion and second. Just a reminder to the board members, there are 2 sets of corrected minutes, November and December, on the consent agenda. I think that was a last-minute change, right?
I'm sorry?
Was that a short notice change, those corrections?
It's just something that I caught that was in there, yeah.
Any other comments, discussion? I'd like to read the donations, if you would indulge me for a second. So February donations, Wight County Schools received used conference room chairs from RRMM Architects. I think we mentioned those last month. They're quite snazzy.
Little retro.
Yeah, they're cool. Carrollton Elementary School received $8,240.52 from the Wight Education Foundation for 7 teachers. Georgie Tyler, the Women's Club of Windsor, donated $25 for the art class. Hardy, the Women's Club of Smithfield, donated $250 for the reading program. And Windsor Elementary received socks, hats, and gloves for students, compliments of St. Andrew Presbyterian Church. And as always, we are grateful and appreciative to donations to our schools and students. Yep, take a vote.
Mr. Colick?
Yes.
Mrs. Perkins?
Yes.
Mr. Wooster?
Yes.
And Mr. Marsh?
Yes, motion passes. Okay, so 20.1 is an action item. That's actually a carryover from January. Would you like to explain that to us, Madam Clerk?
When the motion was made to approve the school board dates for 2025, the year 2024 was said, that is on me for still having it in the on the agenda from last year. So it just carried over. So we just need to, but the attachment was the 2025 meetings. Those are the dates that you approved, but we wanted to go ahead and make the corrected motion, or make a correct motion.
And the board appreciates you keeping us squared away.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the 2025 regular school board meeting dates as presented.
Second.
A motion and second. Any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Colick?
Yes.
Mrs. Perkins?
Yes.
Mr. Wooster?
Yes.
And Mr. Marsh?
Yes. Motion passes. That takes us to 20.2. It's informational policy for first read.
Good evening again, Chairman Marsh, Dr. Kramer, board members. This is the first read of policy regarding school wellness, and we had to make some updates due to the FPAR that really had to deal with smart snacks, healthy snacks that we serve in the school, and how we keep records of those fundraisers that they do in school, because we can't oversell chocolate and candy. We have to have healthy snacks too, so we had to update that as part of our FPAR.
Excellent. So it's fair to say you authored most of these changes? Okay. Any questions or comments from the board?
I think it's pretty straightforward.
Yep, I do too. Thank you, Ms. Couch. All right. Pending any comments, we'll look forward to taking action on that next month. Moving on, 20.3 is our policy for second read. Does anyone have any comments on that?
No.
No.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the policy for second read as attached.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any comments? Hearing none, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Colick?
Yes.
Mrs. Perkins?
Yes.
Mr. Wooster?
Yes.
And Mr. Marsh?
Yes, motion passes. And that takes us to board member comments. Since our liaisons have stuck it out for the whole meeting, do y'all want to add any comments as we close tonight?
Only I wish Smithfield luck with their weapon detection system. It has become routine for Windsor, tall guys or girls just stick it up, and they can reach over the system. And on rainy days, they're like, just come on through. But yeah, it's become routine and a smooth process for Windsor. I hope the same for Smithfield.
And I'm confident Cameron will let us know how that first week goes.
Yes, I will.
All right. Mr. Colick.
I don't have much this month. I went to the Governor's School for the Arts and the CSAP meetings. I will put a plug in there for the Governor's School. I really hope that our middle school kids are really looking closely at that. Them kids there are phenomenal. They really are. No matter what discipline they come, every month they come to a meeting and show us something different, and they are just incredible. And we've got some very good representation out of our school division. And some of these graduates, go on to Broadway and other places of distinction. So it's a very good opportunity that most school divisions around the country don't have. And we are fortunate enough to have it. So I hope we fill every slot and then take some of the extras.
Thank you, sir.
Can I just add this? One of our students of the month, Nathaniel, who is represented tonight, is a student at the Governor's School. So absolutely. Thank you for that, Mr. Colley.
Ms. Perkins?
I got the opportunity to start the CT advisory stuff by going around and meeting a lot of the teachers and walking through the classrooms, so it was pretty neat.
Awesome, thank you. Mr. Wooster?
I actually have nothing to report at this time.
All right. Let's see, last week on the 5th, I had the pleasure of attending and observing the latter half of the Junior Beta Convention at the Hampton Convention Center. I got to see my little girl, and they had students from Windsor Elementary, Carswell Elementary, Georgie Tyler, Smithfield Middle, and who am I missing? There was another one. West Side. I saw their living literature displays. I really didn't know what it was. This was the second year my daughter did it, and I had to get over there and see it. It was impressive and it was entertaining. Mostly watching these kids in a freeze frame for the better part of an hour. It was neat to watch. Worth checking out the next time it goes. Yes, sir.
Can I add to that? You know, I didn't go this year. I went last year. But I got a couple phone calls from friends of mine at different school divisions who just happened to be over there, but their school divisions were unable to participate. And they just commented so much on Isle of Wight doing so well over there. So whoever's running the show and getting our kids over there, good on you. We're doing great. Everyone's noticing.
Yeah, there was for sure some strong representation from Isle of Wight. And then this morning I took the day off, took a trip up to Richmond to visit Senator Jordan and to observe the Windsor High School and Smithfield High School varsity football players. Not all of them, but the vast majority of them. They went up for a trip and they got to see General Assembly in action. So it was a very neat experience. If you've never been up there to see our state legislators in work, I encourage you to do so. Form your own opinions. It was pretty wild to watch it. I did get to see Delegate Waxman in subcommittee doing what he did, and I watched Senator Jordan go up and pitch her bill in a subcommittee. And I got to see Delegate Clark as well, and he was with the group of boys this morning. So pretty neat experience, and I would encourage you to go check that out and see our government in action. Having sitting up here now for 2 years and knowing some of the pain and headaches that comes with just trying to pass a simple policy, that's a whole new league of headache up there, an entire new league. So that's all I got. We'll be busy in the coming weeks with the budget, so we'll buckle down and get her done and do the best we can. So, anybody else? All right, let's call it a night. Thank you.